Receiving your daily dose of dopamine from the fantasy of someone else's potential is a very dark place to be in life. You are receiving fake hits of happiness at the thought that this person who has consistently let you down, well, someday they're going to ride into your life, apologize for all the ways they've ever wronged you, and tell you that they're ready to be the incredible human being you always knew they could be. Once this happens, you will finally feel whole. You might even feel relieved. You knew it all along that they were a good person. The love was always there, and now all of the time that you've spent waiting and wondering, it's all justified. Well, let me ask you something. If you knew this was a real possibility, how much would you spend in order for this fantasy to come true? And let's say in this scenario, the currency we're using is time. So how much time would you be willing to spend out of your own lifespan waiting for this fantasy if a small part of you truly believed that it could come true? Would you spend 1 year waiting for this person? Oh, heck, I know I would. I'm sure a lot of people on this channel would. For someone like me, if I was waiting for an ex to come back or waiting for someone that I thought we had the potential to be a great relationship, 1 year, that's doing easy time. But what about 3 years? That's kind of getting up there. That's a pretty long time. What about 13 years? Would you spend 13 years getting benched by someone who you truly thought was the love of your life, who continuously comes in, dangles a relationship in front of your face just to yank it away? Hot and heavy one day, then suddenly fading into obscurity, only to come back a couple of months later, acting like the silence never happened. Hello friends, my name is Maria, and I believe a lot of people out there who have never dealt with this kind of a situation, they would say, whatever, no way I'm hanging around 13 years for someone who ain't putting a ring on it. But I'm gonna argue that being bookmarked for 13 years is the kind of thing that people don't go into consciously. It happens gradually over time. And if you have never dealt with a charming or narcissistic manipulator, then you don't realize what you're getting into until you're already too deep into it to know how to get out. Sometimes in life, we get into relationships, and by the time we realize what we're really into, it's too late. And maybe we've never heard of something like Limerence, and we have no idea how to help ourselves out. And if you've never heard of Limerence, it can be described as an addictive thought pattern, like an obsessive fantasy over someone that you're not currently in a real, whole, tangible relationship with. And we're going to talk more about obsessing over half-love relationships today because I have a question from a woman. She has been struggling in this limerence situationship limbo land with a man who blows hot and cold for 13 years. A man who always seems to be there in the background, charming, manipulating, and teasing the promise of someday. And if you're a member and you've already watched this video a couple of months ago, go into the members only playlist on my channel. I've got brand new content this morning just for you. But I know if you're watching this channel, you're probably just like I was, and you struggle with anxiety and limerence and ruminating over people who cannot give you the reciprocal relationship that you need and that you deserve. So today, I encourage you to grab that bottle of nail polish and let's talk. All right, let's get into Kylie's letter. Hey Maria, I'm Kylie. Well, my story starts 13 years ago. It was my first year at university in another city. He was in the same program as me, but 1 year ahead. To be honest, I found him attractive from the first time I saw him, but I never thought I'd have any contact with him. He seemed way too popular, and that's just not my type at all. In the first month of university, this man, who I'm going to go ahead and call Isaiah added me on Facebook and started talking to me. He was very active on social media, just like I was. and he liked almost everything I posted. From that day on, we never stopped talking. We talked a lot, and I couldn't understand where he found the time, especially since he had a girlfriend. And they even lived together. We became good friends, Kylie put the quotations. He would secretly visit me in my hometown because his girlfriend would get jealous. One day he sent me a text message with a song, and she saw it. I think that's when the jealousy started. Or maybe it was already there. We kept our friendship going for 2 years like nothing was wrong. We went to concerts together, even in other cities, to see bands that his girlfriend also liked, which I always found a little strange. One time he invited me to his house, and I said no because the situation with his girlfriend made me uncomfortable. But since I didn't have a good argument to convince him, he insisted. Eventually I told him I liked him, and that's why I wouldn't go to his house. And he said he felt the same, but he loved his girlfriend. Despite everything, we kept this strange, romantic-tinged friendship. Over time, and with a lot of pain, I came to understand that we were never going to be together. Eventually, I started a long-distance relationship. This is another man who's not Isaiah. And just a few days after that, Isaiah called me to tell me he had broken up with his girlfriend. I didn't say much since my relationship wasn't public yet. It was my first real relationship, so with that youthful love, I kind of forgot about Isaiah. We still talked, but only as friends, and less often than before. Later, Isaiah started a new relationship. I wasn't bothered by it. I even gave them likes on social media. At that point, I had genuinely moved on. I was focused on my boyfriend until 3 years later, that long-distance relationship ended. I never fully lost touch with Isaiah. Even with his new girlfriend, we still spoke now and then, maybe a couple of times a month. Again, without knowing, I became a source of jealousy in his new relationship. I imagine he mentioned me often. I just wanted to say one thing here. He doesn't have to mention you for his girlfriend to get jealous. Because let's say, you mentioned that he was an avoidant. So let's say he is an avoidant. Odds are he's going to be dating a woman who probably has more of an anxious attachment style. And when you're as anxious as we are, you are super in tune to the nuances of someone's behavior, especially someone that you live with or that you're really wild about. People who are anxious or just sensitive, they can tell when someone is acting aloof or distant, and he might not even realize it, but I'll bet that his girlfriends notice he has this pattern, like his behavior changes, even in small ways, when he is in the process of romanticizing you enough to actually begin to reach out to you and start texting you again. So he does probably have a problem making his girlfriends jealous, but I'm sure he doesn't even have to say a word about you. They can tell that there's just something about it that doesn't feel like that he's with them. When you grow up as a really sensitive person, you just pick up on that kind of thing. You can tell when there's distance. Isaiah and I kept our friendship going for 2 years like nothing was wrong. We went to concerts together. One day, Isaiah messaged me, but I noticed something was off. See, Kylie, you noticed minutia too. Something was a little off and you picked right up on it. The text was an invitation to a bar. Turned out it was his girlfriend pretending to be him. Later, Isaiah told me briefly that the relationship was very toxic. Time kept passing, and Isaiah and I talked less and less, but it didn't really bother me until one day I saw a tagged post on social media and realized he had blocked me without saying a word. That really hurt me for a long, long time, but I didn't try to contact him. I'm sorry, Kylie. No one likes to get blocked. Years passed, and I entered into another relationship. Around 4 or 5 years into that relationship, I didn't even realize how deeply buried my feelings for Isaiah were. One night he added me back on social media, and I accepted. That's when I realized those feelings were still there. He apologized for blocking me, he explained everything, and we started a new online friendship. He was now in another relationship also, and neither his relationship nor mine stopped us from admitting we still had feelings for each other. I know I shouldn't have said it, but I told him because I needed to get it off of my chest without any other intention. We started talking daily again, maybe more closely than ever, with a kind of inappropriate emotional closeness given that we were both in relationships. That same year, Isaiah ended his relationship. 2 or 3 years later, last December, so December 2024, I ended my relationship for completely unrelated reasons. In January of 2025, I finally saw Isaiah again in person. Everything was intense. It felt like we were already a couple. Everything seemed perfect. Lovely dates. He acted just like a boyfriend. Except, of course, he didn't want to be my boyfriend. Ha ha. He said we should just see how things go. And I agreed, telling him my limit was 4 months. If he was not sure about me by then, that was the end. But the perfection didn't last. At first, he said my intensity was exactly what he needed. He'd never felt so good and at peace. These were his own words. But soon after, he started becoming distant in his messages. I called him out on it. We used to have long Friday night calls, 4 to 5 hours long, and that all started to fade quickly. He started visiting me less often. One time, I even offered to go see him in his city, and he refused. He began standing me up, making me wait all day. Okay, so this sounds like he's maybe not a long distance, but he's not super close. He began standing me up, making me wait all day, then saying something had come up or he wasn't in the mood. I tolerated it because I knew he was dealing with some serious family issues. But over time, I started to see things more clearly. Maria, anyone who loves you will make time for you, absolutely. Unless they're dismissive avoidant, of course. That's true, Kylie. You know, they can love you and still suddenly become very busy. In February, we didn't see each other at all. His messages became shorter and shorter until he started giving me the silent treatment. What a prince. I called him out on that during a phone call. I told him it was disrespectful and narcissistic. Well, it is really disrespectful. At the time, I didn't know anything about attachment styles. I told him how I felt, and shockingly, he just stayed silent on the other end. When I asked if he was still there, he only said yes, and he didn't say anything more. So I told him it was over, and that 4-month deadline no longer mattered. But Kylie says the pain didn't stop, because we kept talking, even with his silent treatment and disrespect. We said we'd just be friends and met up once more in March. Everything went fine. I acted, but here it is, that's that word again. I acted purely as a friend. This guy is breaking your heart. Friends don't make you feel like you are dying. So I would say acted is an appropriate choice of words there. I acted purely as a friend. But even then, he gave me those suspiciously long hugs. We said goodbye that day, and I never saw him again. The silent treatment continued for weeks. When he did reply, it was with one-word answers. I begged for his attention over and over and got nothing. I finally hit rock bottom. He made me feel completely unloved. He stopped watching my stories, stopped liking my posts, but he kept liking all these other girls' stuff. Yeah. Watching him like other girls' stuff while giving you the silent treatment probably felt like taking a bullet. I'm really sorry. Kylie continues, I tried going no contact many, many times, but my anxiety always won. One day he said he'd come to talk things through. He stood me up once again. 2 days later, he said the same thing and stood me up again. That was my limit. Since that day, I've been 1 week and 2 days into real no contact. I have not blocked him because my therapist told me not to block him yet, but I have kept my distance and it hasn't been easy. Yeah, especially when you're watching him on social media liking other girls' posts. He has still tested the waters, liking some of my posts. Okay, so ever since no contact, he has started liking some of your posts. He's messaging me like nothing ever happened, telling me a bit about his family problems. I've only reacted, but I didn't respond. You know, Kylie, This guy comes to you with his problems, the man who, he has no shame after the way that he's treated you with the silent treatment and standing you up. The most disrespectful things you can do, basically treating another person like they don't exist. But then every time he has a problem, he comes to you and it's like, look at me, look at all of my problems, which is just, but you know, looking at it from a different perspective, it's kind of also too bad if he can't recognize that when he has a problem, you are the person that he wants to come to and he wants to talk to you. I mean, when he is so busy ignoring you and liking the Instagirls posts, do you really think those Instagirls give a crap about his family problems? No, and he knows it. But you know who does care about his family problems? You do. And he knows that too. And that's why he can't let go of you either. But Kylie, that's his problem that he can cry about and regret later. Kylie continues, the last time Isaiah messaged me, all he said was, hi. I left him on red. It hurts a lot every single day. I didn't just lose someone I dreamed of being with for so long. I also lost someone I thought was one of my best friends. And now, I don't believe in any of it. I know I shouldn't break no contact, Maria, but it's hard. I would like to know what you think. It's strange. After 13 years, we finally had our chance, and it didn't last at all. In my mind, I know I'm doing the right thing, but my heart is in pain. How do I forget him? How can I make it easier to deal with losing someone who was supposed to be a partner and a friend? I'm sorry if it was a long story, but I couldn't not sum up 13 years that easily. Thank you for reading this, Maria. Well, thank you, Kylie. You were incredibly brave to not just write to me and ask me your question, but to also share your story with other viewers on the channel. Because I know that you know that some of your actions maybe weren't the right decisions along the way, but I feel like you are someone who is really trying to fight for yourself, and you would like to level up your relationships. In your heart, you do want to forget this guy, and you just deserve so much more, Kylie. So let's go back to the beginning of the letter and we're going to go through it and I'll give you my opinions on a few things. I first want to ask you if you have considered that this could be a situation where limerence is involved. And I'm not saying that you never thought that he was attractive or that you guys never had any kind of feelings for each other. But the way that I describe limerence is like an obsession or an infatuation with someone that you are only in like a quasi relationship with, like an ex or a friends with benefits. It's like a half of a relationship. Sometimes there doesn't have to be a relationship at all. It could be somebody that you once knew, someone that you're not even currently speaking to. But it's a terrible, painful way to throw away perfectly good years of your life. So I take limerence very seriously, and but I think there are other factors at play here, so let's keep going. So I thought it was interesting how, you know, you found out that he had a girlfriend, but, you know, he had friended, you guys were talking, this was more towards the beginning, and you said, but we kept our friendship going for 2 years like nothing was wrong. And it's that like nothing was wrong, because you know that he knows too, trust me, that he has a girlfriend at home that would not like it if her boyfriend was hanging out with another woman. And it is kind of like this giant pink elephant that everyone's sort of ignoring until it all comes to a head. And then he tells his girlfriend that he can't be with her because he likes you. And now he gets out of that relationship, but he's not giving you a relationship either. So not only is he using his time with you as an escape from his relationships, he's actually using you as an excuse to escape his relationships. So after some time, you said one night Isaiah messaged you on social media. I guess he had blocked you, but then he unblocked you. He wanted to explain everything. You guys admitted that you still had feelings for each other. Well, Isaiah's girlfriend broke up with him because he was romanticizing you. Even if he never mentioned your name, he was not with her, and she could tell. And a lot of times people don't want to be in a relationship where the other person is sort of intermittently there. And I am getting a little heated because I'm thinking about, what this guy is doing to his girlfriends. And one thing we never want to do, Kylie, is we don't want to corroborate with people like that, because there is something about his real relationship with his girlfriend that he can't realistically handle, and that's when he runs to you. But here's the problem with that. You also exist as a real woman, just as real as his girlfriend. And you deserve just as much love as his girlfriend does. And I'm sorry that out of the two of you, so far she's been the only one to realize she doesn't want a relationship where her boyfriend's running off with other women. And, she's been the one so far who's been able to give him the boot. And I'd love it if you could get to that place too. Because what I think is interesting is that he continued. I'm sure he blocked you because his girlfriend probably made him go on his phone and block you. But he kept you blocked until they broke up. You were still blocked. He kept you blocked until he was already elbow deep into another relationship. And I'm sure something happened where he couldn't handle it, and it was like, hey, where's my old friend? Where's my old buddy? Where's my comfortable fantasy escape? I'm sure you are fantastic, but you deserve to be something more than just one man's fantasy. You're a real woman, Kylie. You deserve real love. So yeah, he waits until he's in another relationship, and that's when he chooses to message you and admit that he still has feelings for you. And you say you admit it also, and you just wanted to get it out there with no intention. And I know that it does sound like, we're kind of playing it cool, and we're like, hey, no expectation, no big intentions. I just sort of want to get something off my chest. But I hope that over time you realize that it's nice when people have intentions in the dating world. When we first meet people, we don't necessarily intend to be a serious boyfriend or girlfriend or marry someone by the second date. But it is nice to go out there with the intention of meeting someone that, you want to get married or you want to have kids. Those are your intentions. And I would say that right now, Isaiah's intention, when he's sitting there at 11:30 p.m. at night and his girlfriend's sleeping in the other room, his intention is to stir up romantic excitement and drama, just like fairy dust. And I don't say that like what is going on between you two isn't real, because I do believe there are feelings there. But like you said, it's admissions with no intentions. So what else is he doing other than conjuring up future problems for both of your relationships? A big reason why I'm saying that a lot of times I believe we meet people where we are is because even though you say that you eventually broke up with your boyfriend for completely unrelated reasons, that's fine. But I am telling you, if you were really happy and invested in that relationship, you would not be open to receiving slightly inappropriate, off-colored messages from a man late at night. And you said it didn't take long before you were messaging again every day. So these exchanges were adding something to your day that you were missing, or you wouldn't have been participating in it. And Isaiah needs it too. Kind of like he blocks you, and I'm gonna guess, I don't know, but I am assuming that there are times he goes through where he doesn't feel the need to reach out, and it's probably when he starts a new relationship with another woman and things haven't gotten too real yet. So he doesn't feel the need to mess around with you until he does, because it's giving him something that he needs in that moment. So you guys say that you met up again and you were both single. He acted just like a boyfriend, and I thought this to me would be a giant red flag. You guys have obviously been in each other's lives for a while, and he said you guys are just gonna see how things go. And this is what you were talking about, like, oh, we had our chance and everything just unraveled. But again, it's about intentions. This isn't just you guys are meeting up for the first time. You've had these exchanges. He knows you. He knows how you look. He knows how you act. He knows how you act in person. You guys were going to events and concerts together. When he came to meet with you, he should have already known his intentions. You existed in all of your relationships, and you have a voice in your breakup. If you have a question that you'd like me to answer on this channel, or you just have an experience that you'd like to share the lessons you have learned in your relationship or your breakups with other viewers on this channel, go ahead and write to me. I keep everything anonymous, and I'll put the Gmail to this channel in the description down below. There was no need to see how things go, and this is just me, but if I would say a mistake on your part was probably by telling him that you had a limit of 4 months, and if he wasn't sure by then, that would be the end. It's just like I said though, this wasn't really 4 months. You guys at this point have been friends for a very long time. So he has had more than enough time to think about exactly where he wants you in his life. And you say the perfection didn't last. At first, your intensity was exactly what he needed. I'm sure it was. He'd probably been single for a little while, or maybe he was a little down on his luck or not feeling himself so much, and he is just sucking up all of that wonderful, beautiful energy and attention from a lovely lady such as yourself. I bet it felt fabulous. Not so fabulous for you though. And he'd stand you up, he'd blow you off, and you tolerated it because you knew he was dealing with serious family issues. Life equals issues. We are all going to have issues. That gives not one person a pass to treat you like crap. So he keeps standing you up. You finally hit your limit. We have to, you know what we got to do, Kylie? We got to really lower your limits, because just like his girlfriends gave him the boot a long time ago. And, 13 years later, you're telling him it's your limit, but you're not being honest with him, and you're not being honest with yourself. And I think a part of that is a limerent addiction to this guy. But let's go forward. So he's standing you up, he's giving you the silent treatment, and you say that when you told him how you felt, shockingly, he just stayed silent on the other end. I'm not shocked at all. I don't know if you've seen my videos where I've mentioned that I have a lot of avoidance in my family, and the moment you call them out on anything, they go completely silent. And then a lot of times they'll just change the subject. So you told him it was over. You said, don't even worry about that 4-month deadline. It no longer matters. Well, unfortunately, I believe the 4-month deadline never mattered to Isaiah either, because you guys have this dynamic where he can stand you up multiple times, and you will still show up hoping that things will be different. Honestly, Kylie, he probably didn't even take it seriously when you said it. It probably went in one ear and right out the other. Anxiety is a feeling that everyone gets. There are so many clickbait videos out there on how to get your avoidant ex to, chase and obsess over you. And is this entirely possible? Sure. You can make an avoidant anxious because anxiety is a human emotion. Avoidants can get anxious just like anyone else. But ultimatums are not your answer. You can make an avoidant anxious enough to maybe do what you want in that moment, but then what? The entire relationship will follow the same patterns of pulling teeth and dragging them along through. It'll end up being constant ultimatums. And here's how I would work an ultimatum. You have a silent, private ultimatum that we'll call a boundary in your own mind that you have laid out for yourself before you even go out into the dating world and meet a new person. And you tell yourself, if it's been 4 months and they're not even serious enough about me to introduce me to their family, then I'm out and I'm done. Or then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to have an honest conversation about them of where the relationship's going. And if you feel like you cannot have that conversation, or you're nervous about having a conversation with someone a few months into a relationship, like, where's this going, or expressing intentions or needs, you're afraid at this point that you're going to scare them off. If you have a relationship with someone that can't outlast one hard conversation, it's not going to last a lifetime. So you've been in no contact, and the last time he messaged you, he just said hi. So the reason why he's only saying hi is because he knows what he's doing. He's only saying hi and not, oh my God, Kylie, I majorly effed up, please forgive me, because he's not interested in your relationship dynamic changing. If he just says hi and you answer him back like nothing's wrong and nothing ever happened, that's a big green flag for him that you are continuing to accept his behavior exactly like it is, and nothing ever has to change. He can still use your attention. But the fact that when you left him on red and he didn't fight to take that conversation further, that tells you all that you need to know. I have so many videos on my channel where I try to convince people, like, please don't double text, because it looks like you are in a weak position, mainly during times where someone's treating you like crap. You've texted them, they're ignoring you, and now you're double texting them. So Isaiah texted you and you left him on red, and you'd say, well, Maria, then, Isaiah should hold his dignity and not continue to text. But this is different, and I'll tell you why, Kylie. Isaiah texted you and you left him on red. Now, if Isaiah had a point where if he came to the point where he finally realized, oh my God, I'm really about to lose this woman because she just left me on red, his anxiety about losing you would cause him to send you a double text. And I think that is totally natural. Someone who feels like they are at risk of losing you and has had the revelation that they cannot live without you, they're going to say more than hi. They're going to send a double text. And he's going to do a lot more than say hi. He is going to beg you to meet him out somewhere. And then when you guys meet for a coffee, he is going to pay for your coffee as an initial gesture that he is ready to invest in you. And then he's going to sit down across from you and he's going to tell you why he's ready to invest in you and the actions that he is going to take to prove it to you. And then he's going to sit down across from you and he's going to tell you why he's ready to invest in you and the actions that he is going to take to prove it to you. Actions like being a full-fledged public boyfriend. And Kylie, I am so sorry that this has happened to you, because this whole time he has treated you like the side chick to his public life. It's like you're the side chick to everything and anything else that he currently has going on. And you say that it's strange because after 13 years, you did finally have your chance. And it crumbled after 4 months. It didn't last at all. But I'm telling you, if you were someone who showed up with boundaries and self-respect and had higher standards in what you tolerated for yourself, he never would have kept messing with you 13 years ago. Because for example, if I was someone, let's say hypothetically, I was not 100% fulfilled in my relationships, and I thought that an emotional affair would be fun dopamine and a way to fill a void, I would seek out someone who did signal me, maybe even subconsciously. I'm sure that some of these signals that you send to guys like this, you're not even consciously aware of them. I would also either seek out or gravitate to someone who was signaling me in small ways that they weren't totally satisfied with a relationship that they were in, or even if they were single, just something that it was empty in their lives. And they would tell me through their actions or little signals that they send that even if I only gave them crumbs, they would accept it. Maybe something in your life primed you to tolerate relationships that involve a lot of distance, either geographically and also emotionally. And if you continue to mess around with Isaiah, you will always create distance in your future relationships, because you see, in those times where you are deeply involved in messaging Isaiah, you are possibly avoiding something about your own reality. And I'm sure in these phases where you are aiming all of your emotions at Isaiah, you're ratcheting up your partner's anxiety. Because even though they might not realize that you're messaging another man, it's like I said earlier, people, especially people feeling anxious, they can absolutely sense your shift in behavior. And even if these guys never find out about Isaiah, not everyone is so keen on being in a relationship with someone who's only available half the time. They don't deserve half of a love, but neither do you, Kylie. And I know that you believe that because you reached out to me looking for my opinion. So for whatever it's worth, here is my opinion. You use words and phrases that sound like this guy is actually an addiction for you. You use phrases like, I hit rock bottom. And you also say that the pain doesn't stop because we kept talking. He's causing you pain. You're hitting rock bottom. And not only that, but you also say, I've tried to go no contact many times, but my attachment my anxiety won't let me stop. And I would say replace that with, my addiction won't let me stop. And I truly believe that you treat this guy like an unhealthy addiction that is causing you pain and will destroy your future. And you do whatever it takes to detox him from your life. I know it's easier said than done, so it's time for some discipline. Let's not use the word discipline, because I do believe that at some point in your life, you created the powerful ability to develop limerent relationships. And I don't think that's anything anyone consciously strives for. I believe at some point in your life, it was a survival mechanism where you really needed to create a closeness and see love. And I'm sure over time and over the years, it's just snowballed and it's now barreling into your adult relationships. There is something inside of you that is desperate to take these have loves and work them out until they become whole, because that whole relationship is what you want. No more pain. And although developing the limerent tendencies might not be your fault, it is totally appropriate after 13 years to realize that it's okay for you to put up some guardrails, because you have to keep yourself safe while you're getting over your addiction. And as someone who also knows what it feels like to become completely addicted to toxic exes, what's the best way to get over an addiction? You stop exposing yourself. Hypothetically, if you were a drug addict and you managed to power through and quit, you wouldn't just let an active drug user come and live with you. Because even though you got clean, how long do you think that sobriety would last if you lived with someone who was not only actively using, but was perfectly okay if you decided to join them? Stop letting this guy come meet you where you live. If you do not stop the exposure and you do not put guardrails up and boundaries up around yourself when it comes to exposing yourself to the temptation, you will never get him out of your system, because your addiction won't let you. The last time you said he unblocked you, you guys had one exchange one night, and you said it yourself. Before long, you were texting each other multiple times a day, every single day. If you expose yourself enough, you're going to start messing with him again. And before you know it, you're right back into it, because he is perfectly happy to act like nothing bad has ever happened. He is perfectly happy to continue using you, Kylie, his drug, as his fantasy escape. And speaking of fantasy, if we are dealing with limerence, closeness Reality, that calms down limerence. Some people describe limerence as the honeymoon phase in their relationship because that's when, the total reality of the other person hasn't set in yet. We haven't figured out all their little quirks and flaws. And a lot of times it feels like the other person is just so wonderful. They can't do anything wrong. And I think every relationship goes through that honeymoon phase. But you didn't really get any of that. You got the perfect dates when he was around, right? When he was messaging you and you guys were bop, 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 and you had all that good inappropriate energy going. And then when he wasn't around, when he was being a jerk and he was giving you the silent treatment, you had that picture of him that lied to you and said, it's not really that he's disrespecting you. He's just struggling with family issues. This is why limerence can be so damaging if we don't get a handle on it. I didn't know what limerence was I was well into my 30s, and I wish I had known a lot sooner, because I believe I struggled with limerence my entire life, but I never had a name for it. I just always thought there was, what's wrong with me, or why am I always holding out for people who don't love me the way that I want to be loved? And once I had a name for it, I could start battling it. When someone has treated us like crap for years and we're still holding on, we mistake it as love, but it really is an addiction. Because not only are we getting addicted to the dopamine of when things are great and they're texting us, but we can also get addicted to the stress chemicals, that cortisol, of when they're ignoring us. So we're dealing with addiction all the way around. And I stand by the fact that I think you've held on this long, not just because of limerence or addiction. You never got the reality of him. You have never been his real girlfriend sitting at home while he's off having a blast at a concert with another woman. You've never got to experience that side of him. You have gotten to experience when he's ignoring you because now he's happy dating somebody else. And I know that sometimes it's tempting to think, well, I'm not the important one. I'm the one that just keeps getting pushed aside, and his girlfriends are the priority, and he doesn't even treat me as well as them. He's treating all of you exactly the same. He is nothing if not consistent. Because those times when he's with you, off somewhere or late at night when he's texting you, he's completely ignoring them. And times where maybe he's feeling himself and he's feeling good and he's liking the Insta girls and he's dating someone new, he's ignoring you. He is the same person. He doesn't change. And the fact that he messaged you hi with no actions to back it up says he's not interested in changing. And what kind of person is Isaiah? Well, you say that he's a friend. I still say that friends don't make you feel like you are crying and dying inside, but let's really think about this. When Isaiah messages you and engages with you a little inappropriately, he is disrespecting the relationship that you have with your boyfriend. He does not care about the risk you run of losing your relationship when you speak with him. And because of this, he is not a genuine friend. And you have to think about the long run. What happens when you end up losing all of your relationships over this guy and he still won't commit to you? You will have given up a future of real love for someone who was never worth it. It's the main reason I have this channel. And, start after 13 years, you're at a crisis moment. And no contact is going to be hard when this guy has been wrapped around your life for 13 years. And I can tell you, as someone who has struggled with limerence and addiction, any way I've kicked an addiction in the past, I have to think it all the way through. So when you begin to reminisce and get nostalgic over fun conversations that you guys have had, and it's sort of compelling you to reach out to him, don't just stop at that fun feeling, Kylie. Think about it all the way through. Don't think about just the feel-good fantasy. Think about the reality of what that man is doing in that moment when he is sitting in his dark house late at night and he's messaging another woman while his live-in girlfriend is sleeping 20 feet away from him. This is not an attractive man. And if you can work with your therapist on ways for you to stop seeing guys like this as attractive, I think that would actually go a pretty long way. I would also suggest shifting some of the session's focus from Isaiah and putting it more on you, helping you to build a life where you know that you don't need guys like this. Learn about limerence and why it is so damaging. I struggled with limerence my whole life, but once I finally had a name for it, that's when I could really begin to overcome it. I have a limerence playlist. I'm going to link it for you in the description down below. I would also encourage you, if your therapist doesn't know about limerence, that's fine. You can work with them, or, there's a lot of great videos on YouTube about limerence. I would be very interested to know why your therapist doesn't think that you should immediately, like yesterday, block this guy on social media. But I'm not your therapist, and I'm not part of the sessions with you. It's just, that really struck me. I am curious about that, but I digress. Just research limerence and see if you see a lot of commonalities between people who struggle with it. There's a reason why my videos resonate with you. We are primed for distant half-love relationships where we're trying to fill in the gaps to get the love that we desperately crave. And Kylie, when I was preparing this video for you, I painted my nails with the color Black Magic. I chose this color because although I am someone who loves to write with colorful pens, whenever I am journaling about limerence, I always use the color black. Because even though limerent feelings can feel like magic, there is something so dark behind it. It becomes a black hole that you are throwing away all of your romantic energy into. I want this pain to exit your life, and I am going to don this color for you all week until I shoot my next video. And every time I look down and I notice it, I'm going to say a prayer for you. I know that you can get through this. I'll pray that you find the strength to overcome it. I'm also going to email you a PDF about detoxing things in your life that could, and it's a temporary detox. And it's a list of all sorts of examples that I have also personally used to detox someone in the past that wasn't good for me. And it goes through a list of all kinds of things that you can do temporarily to just go through your life without being triggered so much to interact with this person that there's a very good chance you are addicted to. Normally I send it to people who do an encouragement phone session with me, but because you are a member and you took the time to write me this letter and you were so brave in doing it, I'm going to go ahead and send it to you too. If my videos resonate with you, then this list of things that helped me, there's a good chance they're going to help you get away from this person who's treating you so badly. And of course, you're always welcome to schedule an encouragement phone session. Some people have called me their no contact sponsor, but either way, I'm going to go ahead and email you in about a week just to see how you're doing, because I know, especially in early days of no contact, we could all use all the support that we could get. I know you can do this, Kylie, because you're talking to your therapist and you're reaching out to people like me. You're fighting for yourself, so you're already going down a healthier path that's going to help you find real love. It was so nice to meet you, Kylie. My name is Maria Adriana. You did not have to live Kylie's life, but I certainly hope you can learn something from it. As always, thank you for visiting The Other Half.